Okay, hi there again. Phil Simborg for the USBGF, and here is a checker play problem that gave me some problems. I wasn't quite sure what to do here. So first of all, I want you to think about what you would do, and then we'll listen to what Matt Kongeyer, the number 5 ranked player in the world, would do and why. So give it a little thought first to set the stage. It's a match to 7, score is 0-0. 7 away, 7 away. Red's holding a 2 cube appropriately because he was behind the prime and got doubled. And red to play 3-2. So give it a little thought first. And I'll make it a little easier for you. I'm going to ask you a question that was the first question on my mind. Do you slot the 5 point with the 3-2? Do you move from the 10 to the 5? Or do you do something else? And if you do something else, what's the something else and why? Okay, so first I'm going to be very proud and tell you that I focused on this 5 point. Obviously, whether he rolls a 3 or not is critical. And if he doesn't roll a 3, I really want to make that point. So I slotted it. And it turns out, according to Extreme Gammon, that's a terrible play. And Matt, you got to tell me why.
Okay. Why don't you go find the 10 to 5 play? It's somewhere down the list. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's so far down. Plus.
All right.
I got to go way down the list to find it, and we'll compare it to the...
Well,
okay.
So slotting the open point looks kind of natural, and I guess one thing you might think is that just leaving the shot when your opponent has a 6 prime is too costly, but that really doesn't capture what's going on, I don't think. So the first thing you want to think about when your opponent has a 6 prime is how to get him to break and how you're going to escape. And notably, almost any roll that doesn't contain a 3 is going to get him to break, except for like 6-6, 2-1, double 1. So if he does roll a 3, obviously you're really unhappy that you've slotted. And if you don't slot any rolls of 3, you're also unhappy, but you're not nearly as unhappy, actually, if you just play 10 and 9. Because if he rolls 3-5, he has to break. That's a number that you've added that breaks for him. And if he rolls 3-1, 3-2, you can point on him on the 5 point. And also, even double 3s, he's still behind a 4 prime. So only 3-4 and 3-6 are really like gin-ish for him. Whereas if you slot the 5, pretty much every 3 is he'll have enough timing that.
I see what you're saying, but even 3-6 isn't gin if you don't slot, because maybe you make the point and he might still crash.
Yeah, I mean he's probably got you out-timed by a little bit, but yeah, 3-4 is pretty much done.
So if you slot and he rolls a 3, there's very little life after death, and if you don't slot and he rolls a 3, you've got game.
Right. So that's one thing. Let's go back to the initial position. So the other thing is if you slot, even if you might think that if he doesn't roll a 3, you're better off because now you can make the 6 prime. But even if he doesn't roll a 3, you're in worse shape having slotted. So it's noticed that, like I said before, almost every roll that doesn't contain a 3 is going to crack. Well, most of the time he's going to crack by hitting you or lose on the ace point, right, with like any 6 or 4. So you're going to be on the bar, and it's really hard to cover the 5 point when you're on the bar because you've got to come in with one number and cover with the other number. So if you come in and hit, now you've got a blot in your board that you're playing with. So like say he rolls like 6-4 and makes the ace point, and now you roll 2-5. That's normally like a really powerful number, but after, if you had made the other play, you'd only be shooting at a couple indirects. Now he's shooting at like 17 shots or something. So you're and you're not even adding that many rolls to make the 5 point. The other way, you have 3 builders. So you're worse off when he rolls a 3, and you're also worse off pretty much every time he doesn't roll a 3. Especially if you roll, if he rolls like 6s or some number like that, he's just shooting at another blot.
Yeah, but except for all that, I made the right play then.
Right. There's only a couple cases in the next couple rolls where you're happy that you slotted, actually. Like he rolls like 6-4, you come in with 2-1 or something like that. But if he rolls like double 5s, you're really unhappy. So make the deuce and ace points.
Uh-huh.
So that's why it's such a huge mistake and not just a small mistake. It's worse in like almost every case.
So I guess part of the problem is trying to play backgammon from memory instead of doing what you just did and use that funny thing called logic that you use in order to make the right play. You use logic and reasoning, which gives you an unfair advantage, by the way. That's I think it's an unfair advantage in the game.
So
but I've seen so many positions where you're in a position sort of like this, where it is right to slot.
Yeah.
So what can you do?
It's usually natural to slot the open point in your prime because you need to like counter prime, and you need to like if he misses, then you're in bad shape if you can't make a counter prime. The thing is, you got to look at like the specific situation and like the specific rolls and what's going to happen. And this time, in this case, like most of his rolls, you're going to be on the bar. Like almost all of his rolls, you're going to be on the bar against a 4 or 5 point board. Whether you slot or not, he's going to have to crack somehow, and generally he's going to crack by hitting. Like if he rolls 5-4, pretty much any roll except for 2-1 will hit. So if you moved his prime back and you changed around the position a bit where the timing wasn't quite the same, then it's possible that sliding would be right.
Or maybe if you had 2 checkers back anchored, and that way you're not going to be on the bar after the next play. Maybe then you've got a slotting play there, something like that. Okay. Or another time to slot, I guess, is also, and I'm sure we could do some research and come up with some good examples to show the watchers, but another time to slot might be when the slot is duplicating his making a prime on the other side, where he's got then, the 3 is a real good roll for him on the other side too, and if he has to use it to hit you, he's leaving a blot or not making the prime on the other side because he needed the 3 for that. So clearly I misinterpreted the need, and I hope that I will get some comments from the people who watch this video that Phil Simborg wasn't the only idiot in this play who slotted, that other people were just as dumb as I was and slotted also, and maybe learn something from this lesson as well. So, Matt, thanks a lot for contributing your very valuable time and knowledge to the USBGF membership, who are the people who are going to be able to access this video, and for your support of the USBGF, and wish you continued luck in your weight loss work and in your backgammon studies, and we'll be seeing you again with future positions. Thank you. Let me stop the recording.
You're welcome. I hope people get something out of this.
Yeah, well, I got a lot out of it already. I'm going to think twice about slotting in the future, and I'm going to start trying to use that logic trick that you use to come up with the answer.
Well, slotting is often good. You just got to look at what's going on with his rolls, and it's specific. It's not just usually when you're in a prime versus prime, you want to slot,
Well, just to finish up, one other thing that what Matt demonstrated by talking about what's going to happen on the next roll is what I learned from my teacher Perry, that it's called MCV, most common variation. What's going to happen on the next roll? It's fine to look at how it looks really pretty when you slot, but when you consider the fact that you're going to get hit next time and you're never going to get a chance to cover it anyway, even if he doesn't roll the 3, then that makes sense. I didn't think about long enough about what's going to happen on the other side of the board. it's bad if he rolls a 3, and it's horrible if he rolls a 3, and it's also going to be pretty bad when he doesn't roll a 3. So by taking it forward to what's most likely to happen on the next roll, you can see where you're better off, like Matt said, you're better off not slotting either way. So whether he rolls the 3 or not. And it really didn't occur to me. It just occurred to me that if he doesn't roll that 3, and that's because I was myopic. I was only looking at one side of the board, which is another one of the biggest common mistakes in backgammon. And another time that happens is when you're bearing off. Often when you're bearing off, you're only looking at your side of the board, and how you play your checkers on your side of the board can be greatly influenced by whether he's got a good board or blots on his side of the board. You play entirely differently because of what's on the other side. Yeah, that's even when there's no contact. Sometimes when there's no contact, how many checkers he has to bear off is going to determine whether or not you're going to play the doubles or bear off.
Smooth out.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Let me end this, and we'll do some more. Thank you.